Welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast with Sandra J. Horton, the Growth Catalyst. Well, welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast, where we explore the intersection of leadership, humanity, transformation, emotional intelligence, and conscious leadership in a rapidly evolving world. I am your host, Sandra J. Horton. I'm a global leadership and change strategist. And today we are digging into a conversation that truly sits at the crossroads of strategy, artificial intelligence, organizational transformation, and the human systems that make that possible. And today we are joined by my amazing friend and strategist, collaborator, Vangelis Kalogirou. Vangelis is a strategist and a wonderful transformational leader and organizational systems thinker whose work truly helps leaders to uncover the hidden intelligence that really, truly makes us understand that there is something that exists within these organizations. While many organizations are rushing to adopt AI and emerging technologies, Vangelis focuses on aligning strategy, leadership, governance, culture, operating structures so that innovations can truly scale without creating those hidden risks. His work truly challenges an opportunity for all leaders to look beyond the technology alone and understand how people, systems, and organizational dynamics ultimately determine whether transformation succeeds or fails. Vangelis brings a unique perspective on the future of leadership, helping organizations navigate complexity while keeping humanity at the center of change. So let's welcome Vangelis. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you, Vangelis. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
So why don't we jump on in for those who are listening live or those who will listen to this episode a little bit later. I always like to start out and have a fun fact. So what's a fun fact that maybe people may not know about you?
Well, I wanted to play music. When I was 4 years old, my mom gave me an Elvis Presley GI Blues album. And that's when I realized that's what I want to do with my life. I want to play music. I want to travel, tour. I want to be in movies. And that's really, I think it ignited what was already inside me. So that's what I want to do. So I think that's a fun fact.
Yeah, I love that because, we all have a personal journey, our personal leadership journey, as I always call it. And there are these experiences that, really foundationally shape who we are and how we think about not only our work, but the world and organizations, people, and transformation today. So what were some of your moments that you really found shaped your leadership journey?
Well, it started in the womb. I guess I can start the way back because I was born in Thessaloniki, Greece. My father at the time did not want to have children. So my mother, she was pregnant a few times and convinced her to have 2 abortions. And when I was the next child, she decided not to. And he had won custody of me and put me to an orphanage when I was 6 months old. And then I was adopted by a family at the age of 2, a German family in Texas. So there was so much stuff going on before I was even conscious about things and really had no decision in any of those things from a human perspective. And who knows what went on while I was in that womb for those 9 months. I'm sure there were. So my first experience of life was probably whatever they were doing. Maybe they were fighting, maybe it was chaos, I don't know. And then when I was born into that same environment, and then in the orphanage, who knows what went on there. And so it was just a life of just that type. So that really shaped a lot of things. And people will say, rejection, abandonment, all that kind of stuff, which you don't really realize was already there before I was 2 years old. And then when I got to the airport in Houston, the caretaker gave me to a different family. So Now I'm in this family in Houston. And then a couple of weeks later, they say, wait, you're in the wrong family. So they pull me out of that. So there was a lot of stuff going on,
A lot of
before.
stuff going on.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I would say that shaped a lot of things even before I even was 2 years old.
And it is foundational, having also had a story for myself early on in childhood. And I want to welcome those who are joining. Thanks for joining us today. Vangelis, it's interesting, isn't it? There's these moments in our heart that perhaps, they happen early in life and we don't really know the impact they're going to have on us long term, but they do. And foundationally, we have to go into our own inner self to, as the leadership heart, we have to go and learn what is in our hearts and who we are. So as you were growing up and going through, perhaps a challenging time, new culture, you've moved, you've come over, to North America. How did you really tap into who you are through this? Like once you've made it, you're a little bit older, what helped you go inside?
Well, one of the things that I realized is the only people that can help you discover who you are people that have discovered who they are.
Yeah.
So I did not have that probably until I was 50 years old, because most of the people that I knew, they were following followers. Like Earl Nightingale said in the 50s, most people follow a follower rather than a leader because they just follow the one in front of them. So, and that was in everything. That was in school, that was in church, that was relatives, that was neighbors. Everybody was basically the same. And I grew up in an environment where it was very, very dictating, and where you were told everything. You were told what to think, how to think, and you didn't have the ability to push back, because if you read books on how your brain is actually developed, the part of the brain that allows you to even analyze or even consider things isn't even there until you're 8 or 9 years old. Now, if you connect the dots on that, that means that whatever you're told goes in unfiltered until you're 8 or 9 years old. And if someone says you're smart, you're brilliant, unfiltered. You're stupid, you're a moron, unfiltered. You don't know how to detect or even compare anything. But I remember almost the day where that kicked in, because my mom said, don't go outside in the cold without a coat or you'll catch the flu. Okay, flu, coat, cold. Okay. So then in the summer, I got the flu, and I thought, she doesn't know what she's talking about. See, because that analytical part was finally there, which I didn't have before. And now I realized, what else has she been telling me that's not really true? So that's when that started. And I started questioning things. And I was one of those people in school where I was in fourth grade, and my teacher said, which way does the earth rotate? Clockwise or counterclockwise? And I said, are you looking underneath or on top? It blew her away, because, well, now I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So it was a very trying time for me, because now again, and that was not me discovering who I am yet. That was me learning to live socially acceptable. And I had to realize that, and when I was 9 years old, a lot of stuff happened in that year. My dog got run over and killed on the street, okay? And so I came back in and I'm crying. My mom said, stop crying. Oh, don't express myself. Got it. So turned off all the expressions, turned off all the feelings, turned off all the emotions, because you weren't allowed to. So I had to intellectualize everything, Sandra.
So you went to your head, unconnected from your heart.
Exactly the point I'm making. So I'm at a funeral. Sorry for your loss. I'm at a party. Hey, it was all intellectualized, because that's what I had to do. Is I had to figure it out. How do I live life? And if this happens, then this happens. And it was a lot of remembering, because okay, oh yes, I'm here, and oh yes. And so then you just realize that because you're intellectualizing, as you said, again, it did not allow me to discover me, because I'm not my mind. I'm not my intellect. Because if we were our thoughts, we wouldn't exist, because no one thinks the same thoughts today that they did 10 years ago or even last week. So that's not who we are. We're not our thoughts. We're not our beliefs. Okay, all of that gets programmed into us. Okay, that's a little hint for artificial intelligence, right? So that means that if you have a machine and you have a child, okay, the machine is an operating system, the child has a DNA. There's nothing else. There's no experience, there's no vocabulary, there's no ideas, no reference points, no point of nothing, right? Both are the same. And so whatever you program into each is what they know. So however life was presented to me, Sandra, is what I thought life was about. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. It was programmed, indoctrinated, conditioned into me. And so again, I'm not discovering me yet. I'm just living by my programs, right? That's all I'm living by, my programs and my intellect. So when you start doing that, then now you start looking at life through those lenses. And then you have to start building personalities. Okay.
Yes.
I have to act this way. I have to act that way at school, at church, at the gym, at work. And those are all, we can call them masks. And think about it. Do you act the same in every one of those environments? And if the answer is no, then you're creating personalities that work at that location. I'm at work. Oh, I'm at the gym. I'm at a party. I'm with these friends. Oh, these friends. Oh, it's all different. And then you know it's that way because when someone goes, wait, you're funny. I forgot. Yeah.
And it is interesting because, this is so relevant to organizations today, to leaders, because leaders show up hopefully authentically as they are themselves, but they do have the background story, these limiting beliefs, the ways of showing up that are pre-programmed, that perhaps that are not known to themselves. And that's that whole thing about self-discovery and really knowing where you come from. Where did you hone in? Because obviously you're tapping into something here around, it's more than just the intellect. It's that connection piece, because you speak about this hidden intelligence that exists in these organizations. So if we're programming AI as an example, and if we're not our best versions of ourselves, this hidden intelligence, we're bringing all this stuff that you're talking about into our organizations. So tell me a little bit about those pieces, because you obviously have done a lot of great, beautiful work on yourself and unlocking these pieces. So
yeah,
let's jump into that.
When I was growing up, the only thing that was open on Sundays were occasional gas stations and restaurants and some stores. Yeah. There was a big separation between work and personal life. That's not really there today, and really wasn't there either back then, because you bring you to work.
Yes.
You don't leave yourself at home.
Right? You don't.
and see, when I was in my 20s, I started working at IBM when I was 20. All right.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize what was going on with people because, don't talk to them today. They're in a bad mood. Well, I thought we left our personal life at home. No, we did not. But I didn't know that. I had no clue about this stuff. I just realized, okay, what's going on? And so when you realize that all of that programming, none of that stuff's you, which is one of the things I want us to make that connection. None of that's us. So when someone, I'm just type A, no, you're not. That's your mask or your false identity that you had to create to function in society. This is not you. And you said the word authentic self earlier. That's not your authentic self. That's not your higher self. That's not your soul. That's not your spirit, whatever words you want to use. That's not you. You become who you're not. You become type A. You become procrastinator. You become a sabotager. You become all those things because that's not you, right? And you will know that once you finally discover what you are, because you realize I'm none of those things. No, you never were. But see, that was all programmed into you, which means it's all artificial intelligence. Anything that's not you is artificial. Think about that, okay? If you live by your intelligence and it's all been programmed, it's artificial intelligence. It's not you. See? Because you can switch it out. Oh, I don't believe that anymore. Ooh, I switched out that artificial intelligence, that programming, that application, like on your phone. We don't like that anymore. Delete it. And that's what you start doing. And that's what I started doing to discover me, is I had to start looking, okay, what beliefs do I have that I actually believe? Well, there were none of them. They weren't mine. They were all things that were put into me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started that process of, okay, that's not me. That's not me. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't even want. And that's what I started doing. That was that process.
It's really, it's an opportunity, isn't it? And welcome to our live segment with Vangelis. It's powerful, isn't it? And it takes, I'm going to say with intention. I'm just observing myself, listening intently to what you're saying. It's intention and it's choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's choosing what we are listening and what we're reacting or responding to. And this is this piece around this whole inner hidden intelligence. It's about what is operating within us and what's operating around us. And I want to dive into this because I think this is a critical piece for many leaders in this intersectionality between humanity, AI, what we're doing in organizations. So how do we best tap into this hidden intelligence like you're talking about? Really?
Well, you used the word choice, and I want to kind of hone in on that.
Yeah.
So I'm 16 years old. I just got my driver's license. My mom's in the car. I'm driving. We're at an intersection. Which way do you want me to go? You can go any way you want to, but go straight ahead. Was there a choice in that? No. It was subtle. Go any way you want to, but go straight ahead. And you don't do anything other than what she said, because you know the consequences. So there really wasn't a choice. Now you think you're choosing. I could say I chose not to be reprimanded.
Yep.
Okay, I chose. So I started realizing I need to choose where I'm going to spend my energy. Posing, and then all of a sudden I realized, decades later, it turned me into an apathetic, passive person. Whatever doesn't cause the boat to rock, right? Because you realize I would like to sleep. Yep. Sometimes she'd come to my room at 11:30 at night. I was like, what you said? Well, I want to sleep. I have school tomorrow. I have to be at band practice at 7 a.m. So don't cause anything because I got to sleep. Yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. Passive, apathetic, passive, apathetic, passive, apathetic. Yes, that's fine. Just so I can sleep and have some. You see what I mean? But you don't realize you're doing it. That's a false persona. That's a mask. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
And because you're doing it so many years, it disguises itself as you.
Yep.
Just how I am. It's not you. It's what you were programmed and conditioned and indoctrinated. And that I think, see, what really is helpful for people is, I'll use the word honest, is to begin to be honest with yourself. And that is an extremely challenging thing to do. Think about it. Okay. Oh, I'm honest with myself. Really? Okay. How many times do people say, let's do this? You don't want to do it, but you do it anyway. Hey, let's go to this movie. Okay. Oops. Were you being honest with yourself? Well, yes or no is fine. Just yes or no. Yes or no?
Yeah.
No. Thank you. That's why it's so difficult. Because see, the first part I had to do was to be honest. Do I believe that belief? Am I really living my life? No. I lived my life according to everybody. When people would say, have you been faithful? And I'd say, absolutely not. Well, what do you mean? I was faithful to everybody around me except me. I put my trust in everybody but me. I respected everybody but me. And when I turned that around, that was when I started discovering me. I don't trust anybody but me. I don't need to trust anybody else. Because if I trust me, I trust my assessment, my characters, how I look at things, how I view things. That's all I have to trust. And faith in me? Yeah, I have faith in me. I don't even have faith in anybody else. There's that movie, the red one. It had J.K. Simmons and Dwayne Johnson. And
love Dwayne Johnson.
J.K. Simmons was Santa Claus, okay? And so there's a part in there where Chris Evans says to Dwayne Johnson's character, he says, I guess you're disappointed in me. And Dwayne's character says, I can't be disappointed. I have no expectations.
Oh, wow. Mic drop. Boop, boop.
Talk about wisdom. I mean, and that's the deal.
Yeah.
When you stop having outcomes and expectations of things,
Yeah.
well, yeah. All of a sudden, I have faith in me, so I'm not disappointed in anyone else because I don't have an expectation of anybody else. And you start all of a sudden, the compassion you have for people, the peace, the calmness. Oh my God, it's like a whole and now
it's presence. As
it
you
was
know,
also
all about
so
the presence.
and it was disorienting at first, Sandra.
Yeah.
Because I always lived with this mask on. All of a sudden now, how do I live like this? That was tough. That took me several years, only because it was how deep it was embedded in me. Some people, see, when things take time, it's based on our resistance, right? Because if I don't resist, whoop, it's fast. But if I resist, that's what it takes time, right? So it was because I was so programmed the other way. I was like, well, and so then when I finally got that train moving, meaning I finally started being honest and looking inside myself. And what's really great is, see, now we're going back to artificial intelligence, all right? So
there's always a wonderful path with you. And I love that. This is important though, because all of the earlier stages really resonate because this is a person's journey. And the question always is, before we go into the AI, it's about how does this land for you? Because how you're feeling it, your experience of what you're saying is important. You have to listen. You have to lean in.
And it was not, and the whole shift in my life didn't happen in one day. There were like several things that happened. And I'll go through them real quick just so that you realize, because sometimes we miss what's really happening. We don't even recognize the things that are going on. So I believe before I came here, you know how a hypnotist will say, when I say this word, snap my fingers, you'll snap out?
Yeah.
I believe before I came here, I must have made an agreement with myself and say, okay, you're going to be so deeply encrusted into this darkness that the only way you're going to be able to get out is if I give you a couple of key phrases or things that are going to happen to wake you up. So the first one was when I grew up in a very, very strict, restrictive religious environment. So there was one Saturday that the pastor said, I am your example of God on earth. Ooh, that was a wake up. That was like a beginning. Yeah. And then another one was, we were not allowed to read anything other than the Bible. In fact, we had a bonfire at our church where you brought all of your books that were not the Bible, all your music that didn't have God and Jesus in it, and you burned all of it. Not a movie. That's what happened. So one of my friends sinned and read a different book. It was called Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And so I read it.
That's an amazing book.
And so I was on a project to New York and I read it, part of it on the plane there and part of it on the way back. And as I was reading it, the last chapter was like, if you have a situation in your life that's challenging, accept it, change it, or leave it. And I said, well, I'm done accepting it and there's no change in it. So I'm leaving. So I left the church. And so because it was like the insanity continuing and thinking things are going to change. Yeah. Well, what got me there was all this stuff. Yeah. Everything that happened in my life got me where I am. So I either continue or I chop it all off. And that's what I did. Yeah. So I stopped it all. Yeah. Okay. So then the next thing was a Tony Robbins DVD where he says, this is not a positive workshop. This is a workshop on you deciding what you want to do in life and executing it and then doing it.
I remember those. They were on, I'm going to date myself. They were like little cassettes.
Well, this was actually a DVD set called The Edge, Get the Edge. And so I
remember those though.
And I thought that was a workshop of positive thinking because that's all I was talking. Yeah, you know? Yeah. So then I said, oh, no one's ever asked me what I wanted. See, I wanted to do music. That's why I started with that. So when I said, I want to play music, my school counselors told me music is not a career. My church told me if it doesn't say God or Jesus, it's satanic. And I thought, when do I get to live my life? Then is the next life? I get to live mine? And that's what I used to always say to myself, right? Yeah. Okay. The next thing was a movie, Angels and Demons, Tom Hanks and Bateman. And there's a priest in there that asks Tom's character, do you believe in God? And he says, well, Father, I believe. And I'm not asking if you believe in the God that was created by man or in the image of what man has thought. I thought, oh my gosh, another wake up. And then the last one was I was taught you have to pray. You have to have visualizations. You have to have a vision board. You have to have binaurals during the night. You have to do this. You have to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I met this guy that he had this 1964 Mustang in his garage, like number 5, Mustang number 5. And I thought, wait, you don't even like American cars. How'd you get this? Oh, guy down the street was trying to sell it, couldn't, so he gave it to me for free. Okay, wait. So now think about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Think about what's happening, all the programming in my life. And you got to think about, my mind's just going crazy now. So you didn't pray, you didn't visualize, and you didn't have a vision board, and you weren't even positive about it, and it manifested? Mm-hmm. Are you connecting the dots here?
Mm-hmm.
Now think about everything I'm thinking about now. Think about that. I don't know if you guys remember the Etch Sketch.
Yeah.
Anything I was thought that you gotta do this.
Yeah.
Apparently, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
I'm not saying it's not good to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not a requirement. Because if it was, this guy wouldn't be there. And then I started meeting more people like that. I said, so you didn't, and then you start watching people like, thank you for this Oscar. You know, I really didn't even want to be an actor. And the guy who wins the lottery, yeah, my wife made me buy the damn ticket. Well, you didn't even want to? No.
Yeah.
So you start listening, and now it's like when someone says red car, you start seeing red cars, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. All of a sudden I started meeting people that did nothing that I was told you have to do. And all of a sudden that blew me away, and I thought, and then I met this guy, Arno Garand, who I said, so what do they have that I don't have? He said, it's not what they have. It's what they don't have. I said, okay, I'm confused. They don't have your barriers, your psychological blocks. Oh, I know. I mean, see, these are all part of my path to discovering me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this wasn't like one day, all the things I'm talking about, that's like 4 or 5 years happening, right? So slowly, because see, people want to wake up right away. That's too much. It's too abrupt for us.
Yeah.
We depending upon how deep we are, we need some time. And so I found a partner. She lives in New York, Cynthia Okamoto, and she and I worked for 7 years every week, discovering everything that we were not, all the programs, all the beliefs, all the ideas, all the barriers, all the blocks. And every week, she one week, me the next week, she the next week, and we just started clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing. And that's why I'm where I am today. So when someone goes, I work on myself, well, like, what are you doing? Well, I'm reading a couple books. Spent 7 years working every week with a partner. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I was serious. I hated my life. Well, hate is not a strong enough word, but that's the only word I can think of. I hated my life. I was making $250,000 a year, living in a $1.3 million home on a hill in California, hating my life. And the thing was, I couldn't tell anybody about it, Sandra, because all the people around me in the neighborhood driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Mercedes and all these things, like going, I say, I'm just not very happy. What do you mean? You should be thankful for the life you have. Ooh, I can't share what's going on inside me. So now I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Yeah. I couldn't even share. And you know what? Those people were trapped too, but they couldn't say it for the same reason I couldn't say it. You have an image to keep up. Well, what image are you keeping up? Who you're not. Yeah. We spend so much time certifying who we're not, growing who we're not, feeding who we're not, right? And then you realize, why am I not happy? I mean, why am I not fulfilled? Okay. And so that's what 2009, that was when that happened, when I realized I hated it. Yeah. Wow.
And it is foundational, isn't it? Hey, Vangelis, like it's a moment, like wherever you are in your leadership journey for the listeners today, it's really taking the time to pause, to connect to yourself, to take that breath and observe yourself, observe what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and then make that choice perhaps like what you did is you had this a moment, this awakening moment to say, I've been wearing all these masks. And you talked about this, like your process, it takes time. You're unraveling different pieces of yourself. So now what? Like as we're coming, about 5 minutes left through this episode's going so fast. But as you were awakening to these points, you're obviously successful now. Like you've been doing this good work. If you're living in this, rather beautiful environment, you're successful, but yet you're empty. What then changed in the next iteration of yourself? Like, how did you get through that change? You've had this awakening. Now what?
Well, it was all of a sudden mentors. I started attracting mentors because I was ready. Because see those 5 things I mentioned that were all those. When I do this, you wake up. Those are all my awakenings, plural.
Mm-hmm.
And then working with this partner of mine, and then mentors started showing up. And it was all like the mentor I have right now. 4 years ago, she said, "Do you trust your soul?" And I said, "No, I don't."
Wow.
Okay.
I got goosebumps on that.
Would you accept? Because I also found out that everybody wanted me around because, oh, you're so brilliant, you're so fast, you're so great. So she said, would you accept yourself if you had no brilliance, no intelligence, no music capability? And my piano teacher told me I was a prodigy. Well, what if you weren't a prodigy? What if you weren't brilliant? What if you weren't smart? What if you weren't 100 times faster than everybody else? Would you accept yourself? Ooh, that's a good question. Well, the fact that you hesitated, probably not. So she's been working with me on trusting me. And so she said, when we first met, she says, out of all my 20-something years, you're the most disconnected from your heart person I've met. Okay.
Wow.
3 or 4 years later, she says, unbelievable. She says, now there's an aura. And I have several people that have read my aura, and they said, you have rose and you have green. So you are now connected to the heart of the earth and connected to the heart of the heaven. And she says, I have never seen that happen like that fast. So, and this is that bridge we're talking about.
Yeah.
The bridge between the heart and the intellect, because you don't get rid of the ego. You don't get rid of the intellect. You use it now because you're aware of how to use it. It's not running your life unconsciously.
Yes.
See, that's the deal. So then now we have a few minutes for AI, right?
Yeah, you know what? We're good. We're great.
Okay. All right. Because see, now here's now I want to parallel everything that we've talked. All right.
Yeah.
So AI is not a program or an application. All right. So it is when you take a machine and you give it the ability to perform human activities. 1725, 500 years ago, there was a loom factory in France. And this guy figured out how to take this cardboard and put holes in it, and they could create the ability for the loom to start doing things by itself. Well, it's intelligence in a machine, artificial. So artificial intelligence. Anytime you make something that's not human to perform an activity that humans perform, that is artificial intelligence. Okay. So now, I'm at this, I was hired by some scientists. They said that their models were working in the test, but not out in the field. Okay. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to, from a satellite, detect a certain object and what the object had. Okay. So, and I was there to help them with Python programming and all that kind of stuff, right? So I get there and I'm looking at stuff and I'm thinking, and some of these scientists had 3 PhDs. Some of them had 2, some had 1. So I said, any guys have children? Yeah. Okay. All right. And you're raising the children. So let me explain some things. So here's a child, here's a machine, right? When you take a child out of the womb, do you notice its eyes are like this? It can't focus. Why? Anyone? It doesn't know what it's looking at. Yes, it doesn't know what it's looking at. All it sees is pixels. So then I put a slide up of just pixels on the slide. I said, that's what a child sees. That's what a machine sees. Now, all of a sudden, the child is like a year old. Look at the dog. What does a child see? Pixels.
Yeah.
You, as an adult, see a dog, a chair, a bush, a tree, a fence, a house, a sidewalk.
Yeah.
What does the machine see? Pixels. And as soon as I said that, the scientist went, That's why it's not working.
Snap, snap, snap. They got it.
Did I even have to talk about Python? No.
Yeah.
Coding? No. Compute? No. Storage, security, collaboration, frameworks, algorithms? No. If you know how to raise a child, which apparently is challenging for most people, then you understand how AI works. Now you program a machine, you program a child. What have I been talking about this whole time is how I was programmed. So people who want to take over the world, if they're the ones programming AI, it's no different than them programming the gangs that are in New York or LA or wherever the cities are. You program that child, these people are enemy. They didn't grow, they weren't born like that.
Yeah.
The machine wasn't born like that either.
Yeah.
Somebody programmed. So the thing is, when you're talking to AI, you are indirectly speaking to a human. If you that's just that right there. So to the degree that you can articulate your requirements to a team is the degree that you can articulate your requirements to AI. And if you don't get back what you want from the team, you're not going to get it from AI either. AI fixes nothing. AI amplifies what you already have. So if you're really a great team leader, AI is going to show it. If you're really kind of not so good, AI is going to show that too. Blame AI. The AI doesn't will. The team. And as soon as you blame, if you look at Dr. Hawkins' Power versus Force, you're at the bottom almost at death. Because see, now you're not taking responsibility. You're not allowing yourself to have agency, which is what I was not taught to do all those years. You don't have agency. You cannot take responsibility. Can't, not allowed to. So that's the same thing. See, so if you just look at it like that, then you start thinking about the way that I speak with people is the way that I speak with AI. I have to be very specific, meticulously choose my words, and be very clear, just like my team of 10 people. AI. Now, AI, instead of having 10 people, you have 100 million. And instead of those 10 people taking 2 weeks, AI will give it back to you in 60 to 90 seconds. No,
powerful. It's a real powerful tool, and you know, as we unfortunately have to conclude our podcast, I want to ask one last question though, and then I want to make sure everyone can connect with you, because you know your story is powerful, and what you do is so powerful, and you're very humble in your greatness and what you bring to the world, because you're sharing a story, and through stories we learn, we grow, we see ourselves. And so one of the things I think is foundational is, if there is one mindset shift that you as an individual, whether you're a formal leader or others, we're all leading, right? We're leaders. We need to make today to successfully navigate AI, this whole complexity and constant transformation. What would it be? Love to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay, it's a good question. When people say self-mastery or self-leadership, my question to you is, which self are you mastering and leading? The programmed, false identity, mask self, or what you really are? Because that's what we've been talking about this entire time. Which one are you leading? Which one are you mastering? The one you're not, or the one you are?
Ooh, that was beautiful. That was powerful. What a way to end today's live segment. And Vangelis, how can people get to know you more, like to find you on LinkedIn? What's the best way for people to learn more about you?
Yeah, there's two things. My website is, okay, we didn't talk about my name thing, but my website is www.rodney, R-O-D-N-E-Y, that word Vangelis, and then Guenther, Guenther.com. So Rodney Vangelis Guenther.com. And then my email is just rwguenther@gmail.com.
And we will check on that next time. So I'll have you back on, and we'll talk all about that interesting opportunity that you've gone through, and how we, as you know, in our systems and how we look at ourselves, how we're named, really does make a difference in terms of how people are able to find you and to learn about you. But you've heard it from here. This is the Leadership Heart Podcast. My greatest thanks so much to my dear friend. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for sharing your heart, sharing what you as a beautiful entity has gone through in this world. And through the stories, as I said earlier, we're seeing, we're learning, we're feeling, we're embracing you as this wonderful person who is sharing your story. And it is that connection, if we walk away today, is the connection between how we lead, the leadership, the heart, connected to your mind, that higher calling, that source, the opportunity for growth. So take time today, listen to the episode again, and really, check in what shows up, and then make informed new choices about how you want to live your life fully in alignment with your greatest gift. So thank you again. And more guests will be coming later next week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vangelis. We'll catch you on the backside, and we will see you again shortly, I am sure. Bye for now.
Bye.